Bahamas, C. Allen Johnson, critical thinker, bringing you another edition of Thought, Not Talk. Over the last couple of months, I've seen the debate on social media between the PLP and the FNM concerning the so-called Baha project. There's a lot to be discussed about the Baha deal, but this is not the time that I'm going to go into that right now. Baha has been a project that's been on the drawing board for over 15 years. That's across multiple administrations. Perry Christie, Hubert Ingram, then Perry Christie, now Hubert Minnis. It's a long time. I just want Bahamians to just stop for a minute and begin to consider what other development has occurred in those 15 plus years. What type of building Bahamians have occurred in those 15 years? That we are beginning to have an argument that Baha saved the economy, that Baha created jobs, but no ownership. You know, the main point of this I want us to consider is this. We say that the Bahamas is a tourist destination and it's our major product that we provide. It's under threat because a long time ago, the Bahamas provided 4 S's: sun, sea, and service. We only now provide sun, and sea. We're getting our butts kicked around the world on providing service. But we don't need to argue that point. We can see it in the government services we get. We can see it in the level of services we get around in stores and shopping centers and all that we do. So until we restore service, we are always going to be at a disadvantage. But I want us to consider this point. This is very important for me. Do you know that we give, in the initial birth of Bahama, well over $1.5 billion in assets towards this build out? 1.5 billion. I want you to make a mental note of that. I want you to consider that doesn't include the tax concessions over the many years, the legal cases, the damage that has been done. But we are bragging about JOBS as provided by Bahama. If we could only come to understand that JOBS to investors means just over broke suckers in a just over broke sector. Wow. But I wanted to go back to the $1.5 billion. I want you to think deeply on this. If you had a government, not a FNMPLP, just a government that was really desirous of Bahamians owning its economy, do you know, just in the initial $1.5 billion, we could have built over 25,000 one bedroom bed and breakfasts. Just think about that. Owned by Bahamians. Ask the construction people. 25,000 one bedroom bed and breakfasts. That would have meant if you had given one to 25,000 families, each families would have generated about $40,000 a year income. Forever. But you got a few thousand people going to work that don't even own that. I haven't talked about the multiplier effect. You know, the people who would have to clean those 25,000 rooms, the people who have to provide services for those 25,000 rooms, the people, if those 25 rooms was filled, the people who would have had to provide car rentals and tours and other activities. Just 25,000 ownerships of individual bed and breakfast room. But we're having a prolonged debate about failed leadership. One that is selling us back into servitude. No vision. Bed and breakfast is the digitization of the global economy. Bed and breakfast, Uber, and the works, Amazon, data sharing. So we have leadership that is locked and loaded in the 20th century. We've actually had leadership. We've had 20th century leaders married to 19th century concepts governing a 21st century Bahamas. And we're having a debate amongst us about who's the least incompetent, who's the least inept, who's the least incapable, who's the least corrupt. You know what about those conversation that disturbs me, have me perplexed? Is this one point. To have an argument about who's the least competent, the least competent requires that you declare them both to be incompetent. To have an argument about who is the least corrupt requires you to declare them both corrupt. To have an argument about who is the least inept requires that you declare them both inept. But these are the conversations we're having. We don't have conversations concerning promises made, promises for accountability, promises for transparency, promises of integrity, promises of anti-corruption. We don't have conversation about evolving the Bahamian economy into one of ownership as opposed to servitude. We're having conversations about who screwed us the least hardest. Bahamas, the world is preparing for competition. And when they meet us, due to our lack of preparedness, they will beat us. We are fresh out of time for more of the bullshit arguments that we have every single day across the various digital medias. Thousands of people are using the same medias we're wasting time with to create billions, not millions, billions and trillions of dollars every day. What are we using it for? Bullshit arguments. We're not trying to find out how do we capitalize this? How do we convert this? How do we just take this collective intelligence that we're just wasting and make it a tool for national development? Your leadership have no understanding of it. They talk about digital this and technology this and everything. We've spent billions of dollars on technology and we can't get nothing digital, no, nothing functioning. Every day you hear Minister of Education, Minister of Finance, and this one and that one making digital announcements and nothing tangible. At one time, can they ever give you a single written strategy, a single written plan for anything they've announced? None exists. It's all just make-believe, some good stuff, Google words. But you know what the problem is? The fact that all of you spend so many hours on Google and all these other search engines, and you never take the time to research what do these things actually mean? How do they actually apply? So before the fact that you lack the knowledge to call them out, they get to continue with the BS. Unless we are planning of becoming servants for the rest of our lives, we need a paradigm shift in our conversations. We need to have a conversation about going forward, recognizing the mistakes of the choices we made in leadership of the past, and not to repeat it. But please, this Bahama conversation, let's be real about it. You have a place that you want to say is 4 billion, 5 billion, because it's finished. See, when I'm building a house, right, I may spend $150,000 building the house, but the house has a value maybe of $225,000. But I don't scream I'm building a $225,000 house. I say I'm spending $150,000 to build my house. So this whole concept of Bahama being worth 5 billion is not what it costs. Let's say it costs 3 billion. But we have given 2 billion or more with the tax concessions and everything else. Maybe 3 billion. And what do we get? JOBS. Just over broke suckers. And a just over broke system being embraced. Because we embrace actually a just over broke sector of servitude. We can change it. You must first change the mind. Garbage in, garbage out. Let's just stop pumping the garbage into our minds every single day. Debates after debates after debates after debates. Let's build a better Bahamas. Let's change the paradigm to one of ownership. How do we own this economy? The wealth is here. You have individuals coming here and using our money to build things in our country and keeping all of the money. They're using our stuff. But what do? We argue about which one of our leadership will fail us the least. Not succeed for it, will fail the least in the next try. We're coming up to make a choice. We made a choice right now, and Dorian and other things have exposed things we've never seen before. We now need ideas we've never tried before. We need to have what is called moonshots, quantum leaps. We need innovation, transformation. But most of all, we need an expression of imagination to redefine the Bahamas. We need a call for new leadership, not younger leadership. Because youth is not a qualification for leadership. In fact, the word qualifications we've been using is wrong. We need people that possess competence of the 21st century environment we're in. See, understand this. The mechanic for the plane, he has the qualifications to fix the plane, but he lacked the competence to fly it. That's what I'm saying. Don't confuse qualifications for competence. Let's change the way we talk. Bahama is a catastrophic failure for almost 15 plus years, almost 20 years of development. We can't refer to anything else for the development of Bahamians. Bahama, save this, save what? How does going from broke to just over broke changes anything? Billions is being made per year in our tourism industry. Yet less than 100,000 households, divide that into the multi-billions that is being made. But just go back to the Bahama conversation I told you. 25,000 bed and breakfasts could have been made if we had used the same concessions and crown land and things we gave away as collateral for those bed and breakfasts. Imagine this. The government had used the $2 billion as security to back the 25,000 bed and breakfast rooms that is being built. We could use those rooms, and then you pay the government back. So you have your bed and breakfast, you make your 20,000 or more profit per year, and the government gets its money back. And the multiplier effect in the economy. Multiply that now. Let's duplicate that on Grand Bahama. Let's duplicate that on Abaco. Let's duplicate that in ecotourism type environment on Andres. Let's do that in Lutra. Spin-off effects will blow you away. But we give away grants, we give away our harbors, we give away our airports, we give away our airspace, we give away our waterway, we give away our resources, all for jobs. We couldn't imagine putting those in a sovereign wealth fund and using the collateral to build Bahamians. Because we have leadership that has been indoctrinated in the ideology of servitude, a poverty mindset, a system of governance where we lack imagination to build our own country. I invite commentary on this video, but please, let's stop the BS on what Bahama has done for us. What Bahama has done for us is separated us from the wealth of our country. It has further indoctrinated another generation, or began to indoctrinate another generation of Bahamians, that they could only be hewers of water and makers of beds, never the owners. Imagine a Bahamas where you own. A Bahamas where they say $3 trillion a year of global economics occurs. Yet, we have 70,000 Bahamians living in poverty, 40,000 in abject poverty. Imagine that. And the rest, considered the working poor. They can't lose their job for more than 6 months. The working poor. So we have a very small percentage of self-sustaining Bahamians. And the rest are either working poor, living in poverty, or abject poverty. The Bahamas have become paradise for foreigners and hell for Bahamians. Yet we celebrate incompetence, ineptness, incapability, and corruption amongst our leaders. We will argue who steal the lease from you. You argue who steal the lease from you. They're afraid of technology. Technology brings accountability. But that's a conversation for another day. I thank you so much for taking the opportunity for listening. I invite you to share this with other people. I invite commentaries. I invite rebuttals. But share the video. Let's begin to have a dialogue of building a better Bahamas. Not one about which of our leaders is the least corrupt, which of our leaders is the least capable, which of our leaders is the least competent, which of our leaders is the least whatever. Let's just say, imagine that we have a leader that's competent in the 21st century. You know, the green economy, the orange economy, the blue economy, the digital economies of the world. There's no reason that in the next 10 years or 15 years the most, we can have thousands of millionaires in the Bahamas if we switch to a mindset of owning the economy. We have the resources to back it. We have the location to back it. And we've built a brand to back it. Thank you again. C. Allen Johnson. Follow me on the various different social media platforms. C. Allen Johnson, AllenCJohnson.com. And Alan C. Johnson on most of the social media. I'll put them all up at the end of this video. But I invite you to share the video and let's have some real, sincere, direct conversation that consists of thought and not just talk.